or game 3 rather, against Alchemixt. All right, so it is going to be the Warlock, Aggro Lock, going to be going up against this Warrior, and having that Blood Mage in hand, do you think he holds on to it?
I think you do hold on to it, and again, one of the reasons why is because it's such a big enabler with your Whirlwinds. It creates like a true board sweeping effect, as opposed to just the 1 damage. A lot of these minions coming out of the zoo deck are going to have 2 health. 2 Flame Imps in the opening hand. This is one of those spots where if Savjz manages to draw Cleave, oh wow, Fiery War Axe is a huge one though.
Yeah.
2 minions being taken out, and again, this warrior deck can use a certain amount of life total for resource, because the bigger part of these zoo decks is repetitive damage you get from it. So this Voidwalker ended up being a critical draw because it's going to effectively deal 2 extra damage if your opponent can't remove it, which he can't right now.
Yeah.
But to that same effect, it's the weapons end up being super efficient in these early games because Warlocks rely on this repetitive damage followed by Burst.
No, he can't remind his instrument. I mean, he can obviously deal with Clemens next turn, you know, with obviously the Shield Slam. You know, if he needs to, he does have that available next turn. He can Shield Slam armor up. Now we'll see if he's going to go for that. I mean, I think we're obviously just going to see the Harvest Golem go down, Doomguard in hand, and not a lot of other cards. So I mean, if you can avoid life tapping and continue to play cards and get that turn 5 Doomguard like we talked about without paying discard price.
Wow!
Oh my God, another Fiery War Axe. That is very painful here for Alchemixt. I mean, at the same time, he's already 23 HP. You know, the Fiery War Axe, yeah, he can remove obviously the Golem, but having Armor Smith out is what makes that so important because, you know, he has the follow-up to clear that 2-1 contract.
Right, and it seems really subtle. Again, these 1 and 2 points of life, but they really add up to the end game. And
that's nice.
It also is fueling his shield slings that are in hand. So he needs to clear this Armor Smith so it doesn't get out of control. Yep. 2 Ardent Squires are really good. These are sticky minions that are kind of difficult for Warrior to deal with. But again, you've seen a lot of damage stemmed here so far from Savjz. He's going to be able to hero power again this turn if he wants to. You're looking at a pretty tough position for your Alchemixt because these Power Overwhelmings are cards you kind of want to draw later in the game as like top deck material because you want to have that density in your deck in order to push through damage. But he's going to have to discard to this Doomguard if he wants to.
Yeah.
Frankly, I don't see him Doomguarding this turn.
No, he's messing over the tap.
Oh, that's a miserable draw.
Yeah, that's worthless. I mean, there's not going to be a single ton in this deck, so that does absolutely nothing for him. And, I mean, we know that the Gorehowl is coming out, so, you know, the Warlock does have to be a little bit scared eventually of your life totals. You know, he's at 20 HP. You know, the Gorehowl represents 7 damage. He's going to continue tapping at least somewhat. And you also have to remember, Ragnaros is here as well. I mean, he's going to be able to clear that, draw a card. We'll take 2 damage from that. Baron get in pretty nice as well.
That's a really critical draw right now.
Yeah.
So I think a bigger question is if he wants to take an aggressive stance or not. Because these 1/1 damages do add up, but you're looking at a lot of damage in Savjz's hand as well, and you know your opponent is likely to continue life tapping. These shield slams, you need to get value from them though.
Yeah.
They're going to sit in your hand and your opponent's going to continue to shred your armor turn after turn, so you don't want them sitting in your hand. So I imagine he's going to clear both of these Argent Squires here between the weapon and his 2 shield slams. He's not thrilled to do it.
You think it's worth using the double shield slam just on one of those, even with the potential of, you know, kind of the more annoying minion coming out? Like when you look at this deck and you think about like a Knife Juggler coming out or something, wouldn't you so much rather use it on that? Do you think you just have to?
You would, but it's kind of like it's a 2-edged sword. Like on the one hand, you want to keep minions off the board because this is enabling your opponent's buffs, but at the same time, you want to have options open towards the end of the game. That Azure Drake, not like an exciting draw at the moment, but certainly not a bad one. Likely to put some pressure on the board between, again, these shield slams, but this is a tough spot for both these players now. This game's going to come really close. I like paying the extra life here to deal with this. That Azure Drake actually, now in hindsight,
is very nice.
Pretty critical draw, I think, putting a 4/4 on the board and taking that out.
Now this is really nice, man. I think you play the two 1-mana cards, and then you play the Doomguard.
Right, I agree with that as well.
And what do you think about, though, the difference here? Do you think you power overwhelming your 1/1 to kill the 4/4, or do you think you play the Abusive Sergeant instead and just go face and just let the power overwhelming die?
I like using the power overwhelming here, and the reason why is because you're going to be putting damage on the face. But I think more importantly to note is I'm not clearing the 4/4 on my power overwhelming
just ignoring
here.
it.
I'm going straight for my opponent's face. He's at 16. We can potentially deal him 10 points of damage this turn. You're looking at a couple of easy draws being able to pick off the game. He's got this Abusive Sergeant as well. This is 12 points of damage coming across the board. Your opponent will go to 6 after their hero power. So you're looking at another Doomguard or an Argent Commander and a buff being able to win the game, or even just top picking Soulfire's putting a lot of pressure on your opponent. I think trading here, there's a lot of merit to it as well, but at the same time you sacrifice a lot of percentage life of your opponents by going for this Azure Drake. So this is a really critical turn for Alchemixt here, and frankly I can see it going both ways.
Yep, and he is going to use that power overwhelming, I do believe, and it's just the choice. Does he take the 4-4? Does he go face? And we're going to find out right now. He's going to trade. So I think this is the safer of the plays kind of thing. And he's going to give up that Abusive Sergeant. So interesting. So very different from what you were kind of expecting. You were expecting the Abusive Sergeant, not that Priest. And
that's
that
really
sucks.
unlucky.
That really sucks.
Between a Shield Block and a Hero Power here, by the way, that would be able to kill the Doom Guard. That's why it ends up being so critical.
Now, I mean, you can't exactly Gorehowl this. Does he feel like he has to?
His opponent's got no cards in his hand, and he doesn't really have another strong play otherwise. Like,
yeah.
Baron Geddon's not going to really get any work done. Armor Smith is... It's not going to get attacked by this Doom Guard, I don't think. It's just, I think you have to Gorehowl and take 5 damage here and then hope for the best at the end of the day. Because unless he thinks that Alchemixt is going to attack this Armor Smith, I think you have to play the Gorehowl here. But again, none of your options, I think, are very strong.
Well, he's looking at the Armor Smith. I just think he's too scared to take that risk. But we'll see. He may go for it. I mean, he's definitely thinking about it. I think he might just play the Armor Smith and Armor Up, but you know, he can obviously shield slam out the 2-1 if he wants to go for that, but he's weighing his options, and you have to start thinking. This is when you start looking, okay, what else is going to be in his deck? How many ways can he kill me? You know, what are the percentages here? And he's going to go for this. So he will take out that Priestess, but the 5-7 remains, and it's going to continue doing damage. And the Abusive Sergeant is, oh god, now this is a lot of damage here. This is going to be 8 additional damage from this. I mean, that's putting him down so low on that life total.
Yeah, notice also
5 HP.
If he had attacked not the Azure Drake and his opponent couldn't remove his Doom Guard, this would have been lethal this turn, but I still think his play is totally fine. This Whirlwind is not very good right now, and I don't see a play other than having to yellow this Ragnaros and hit a 33%er.
Yeah, honestly. I don't think there is a play.
This is why I didn't like the last turn, is because you put yourself in this position.
Yeah. There's nothing. I mean, there's nothing you can do. That's it.
Right.
You know, like, sure, you can get in Whirlwind.
He would have lost last turn anyway because of this Abusive Sergeant draw, but I think I think it's better to go for it, because sort of what I'm thinking is, how do you actually win the game after this?
Strike.
Okay, so I mean, he's going to go for that. That is going to put him down to 4.
Oh, that's going to be lethal.
Yeah, 4 HP.
Northrend is a one-way ticket, by the way. I've been there before, and Argent Commander is the one who usually takes me. That's going to be game 2 over to Alchemist. He's going to go up 2-1, and the Savjz could have played it differently, but he would have lost regardless of which way he played it. This way, he was looking way forward in advance. But one of the things that I'm concerned about is the fact that your opponent still has Argent Commander potential.
Yep.
You've seen a Power Overwhelming, so there's potential for a second one of those. And then